Tonight, the latest headlines from Philadelphia. The mayor has committed a fresh new budget dedicated towards a bus driver training program after a second accident injured 2 more pedestrians earlier this week. A survey on the infamous Hoskins Castle has raised questions about the city's park maintenance department after it revealed that no one wanted to go there due to a lack of attractiveness. And finally, works on the new intersection begin today on the Northern Bypass, which is expected to last through next week. Motorists have been warned to expect long delays. Stay tuned for more from Philadelphia and hit that thumbs up to keep up with the latest. Hello everybody and welcome back to Philadelphia. So we're going to start by addressing our bus driver training fund. So as suggested by John Ritz in the comments, he thought that maybe the accidents were happening more often because our road budget is currently on 50%. So yeah, let's invest in our driver training, or our roads in this case, and we're going to up that budget to 100% and see if we get less bus crashes happening across the city. And the second thing I do want to do, so after we put in our lumber industry last time, we do have a massive overproduction, huge surplus in wood, but we still aren't making much from our timber or our furniture. We're not really encouraging those factories in here. If we go back into taxation, let's come into industrial here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to lower the tax rate on timber. So we're going to go down to 2% and also on furniture as well, so that we can encourage some extra production in this area. Let's just head back to material goods because I think furniture furniture's kind of all right, but let's get a little bit more in there. And because we've got a massive over excess of vehicles, I'm also going to tax this pretty heavily. So we're going to bump that up to 15%, I want to say. Let's hope this doesn't impact our budget too much because we do have an awful lot of vehicle production happening in the city. Yeah, it's a huge surplus. Same goes actually for minerals and also for steel. So we could do a similar thing there. Let's grab our minerals because we know we're making a lot of those via the factory, the big unique factory that's in here as well. I don't think that's going to affect it too much. So if we up that to 15 and let's just steel, I think we want. So I don't think we want to tax it too heavily, but let's go up to 12 and we'll see how that does. In terms of commercial, I'm not going to adjust the commercial kind of values of these at the moment. I'm only going to tax the industry and hope that that means that we get some actual timber industry spawning in instead of literally nothing, which is what we have right now. And get a few more furniture factories and maybe slightly less vehicle factories is my hope from this. Although we could, of course, turn Philadelphia into a massive car manufacturing state. That is the alternative here. But at the moment, we're kind of leading into a wood focus with an excess of logs. Tigon, you also made a great point about putting in the paper factory to deal with a lot of those logs. So I think at some point we'll come over and do that over this side as well and help that out a little bit. I'm going to come back to naming conventions and things like that for that area a little bit later on. But for today, we're going to be focusing on this area over here, expanding out this train network that's been sat there for ages. I am so excited to finally get trains running over this bit of the city. I think that that is going to look pretty awesome when that's active. And of course, our road networks added a new intersection. We have a couple of kind of loose roads here that we need to connect up. So this one over here as well, but also our crazy coastal highway, which we need to loop round the edge and then somehow bring in round the lake to connect into what is going to be essentially an outer suburban town over here. So what we're aiming for is just a small train station, mostly low density residential, I'd say. We'll probably have some row housing and a few odd kind of condos, medium density housing in there as well. But definitely no tower blocks for this area, probably no mixed use, I would have thought, except for maybe a couple around the sort of village centre around the train station. Overall, that's the plan, so let's crack on. So we're going to start with the train network. So let's go into trains, let's grab our double train track so we can continue on this line. We definitely want contour lines on for this. And I'm actually thinking we're going to bring this pretty much straight up into this village. So let's angle snap to 180 and we'll come down this slope very, very slightly. Although I'm conscious I have got continuous slope on. Let's put in our flat section first, like that. And then we can start coming down the hill a little bit here. And then what I'd like is the train station actually on a slight angle, just to add a bit of interest into the town. And the train station we're going to use is actually the new Eastern European train station. So if you haven't picked up this asset pack yet, it is now available on PDX Mods. It has got a ton of assets in it, including the absolutely amazing Disease Control Centre. Go and check that out if you haven't already. And of course, just a little reminder that if you're keen on picking up either the Modern Architecture or Urban Promenade's Content Creator Packs, you can do that via my Instant Gaming link in the description below. They have huge discounts on a whole host of games, and it also helps to support the channel. So we've got that connected up. We're going to have the front poking out this way, where I think we're going to have a small kind of town centre around it, a little bit of commercial, that sort of thing. And then let's have a little look at these road networks here. So this one, I think we actually just follow very closely down this train track, pretty much all the way into the town centre. So I'm going to drop it in there for now, and then we'll come back to updating that a little bit further on. Now, I'm conscious of trees here. If you haven't seen the last episode, we added literally 1,000 million trees, or what felt like it at least. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on trees at least, so I am going to try and protect somewhat of the simulation in this case and actually remove these trees before we start building on top of it. Now, I have already put in that road and that train track, of course, but never mind. I'm going to come up to around about this point because we're going to have an intersection somewhere there, but we'll just clear these all off for the moment to give ourselves a little bit of space and no trees hiding under our roads or our assets in the long run. Now with this road, I'm thinking to give a bit of interest around the train track as well. I kind of don't want this one flowing right up next to it, so I'm actually going to trim back the road that we did just a tiny bit here. And we're going to position this slightly further away. So I think we will give ourselves a nice full 6 kind of deep block for this. So we'll come out like that, and indeed we have got our 6 zoned squares in there, which is good to have. And then here, I think we want to give ourselves a little bit of a kind of kink in this. So let's smooth this out nicely there so that the road kind of flows in quite a curvy pattern out against that one. And then we can have this network continuing on out this way. And I would like to bridge over the train track somewhere here. So I am thinking we're actually going to raise up the terrain around the back of the train station here just a little bit. So let's grab a height that's a little bit lower than our highway over here. Something like that. I kind of want to see how different that is to this level. It's yeah, maybe a little bit high. Let's go down to about here. And we're going to smooth out a section that we can use for development. We'll use that contour line there so that it sinks into the existing terrain reasonably nicely over this side. And we'll just want to do a bit of smoothing and tidying up on the back of that. And we can have a nice slope up the back of the train station there as well, is what I'm thinking. And then that also gives us an opportunity to bring a road down this way. So let's do that. We have got, yes, constant slope on. So we're going to get a nice even slope down there. Not really sure of the angle yet, but we'll mark that out so that we know that we want it. We'll trim this road back a little bit, and then we're going to bring this up to about here, and this is where we're going to start to bridge over. So let's bring our height down, and we're going to go up to 8.75, which is the highest you need to get over a rail track. So we want to find a sweet point here where we can bridge over a reasonably flat level. So if we come up to 8.75, we're going up a tiny bit from the point that we've got there. I'm actually going to hit Anarchy on. And then we're going to have a little check of the train tracks to see if there's any clipping. And yes, indeed, it is clipping. So that is a bit of a problem. Let's just go ahead and grab these nodes and shift them up just a tiny bit. Yeah, so now our rail lines are going nicely underneath. So I think that's a suitable bridge height for us. That just raises up slightly from this road here, but I don't see that as being too much of a problem. So let's go back down to ground level. And then we're going to bring this road kind of nice and evenly along the back of the station there, and then we can do some development and some house building up this side. Then I'm thinking from here, this road is going to swing out and go up towards an intersection around about this point where we've got a little bit more flat land. It's quite a steep cliff when we come up here, so I think the intersection needs to be out this side of the town. And then of course we do have this intersection over here to come off the highway and into the back of Gaudy Bay. We'll have this come straight out like that, and then we'll go into a slight curve, and I definitely want to have, yeah, smooth slope on here. We're only going up 5.3% on the grade, which isn't too bad. I'm reasonably happy with that. And then we can swing this round into the intersection roundabout here. So I actually want to have a roundabout intersection here, And the reason being that the traffic isn't particularly heavy coming out of this external connection. Okay, there's a reasonable amount of cars here, but I think a roundabout will be okay. This is a local highway connection. It's not going to be like the main highway connection, which is going to run, if we can see it, from this side of the map over to here. We're going to convert this into a double highway probably at some point to support the volume of traffic. I'm thinking this is a much more local route as it winds through the hills and out off the side of the map over there. What's going on here, actually? We have an individual. Nicole Sheridan is injured. So she must have been in a crash somewhere out here and is waiting for an ambulance. I'm actually very curious to see if one turns up for her. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I don't know how she's ended up there. I would have loved to have seen that crash in a really kind of awkwardly sick, morbid way, I suppose. So yeah, let's go ahead and build ourselves a roundabout intersection. And I'm not going to build an actual roundabout for this. I'm not just going to plop in one of the ploppable roundabouts. I'm going to make it a little bit more refined, so our lane management, so that people can flow across the highway a little bit more easily, I think, rather than the sharp turns into the ploppable roundabouts. So yeah, let's give that a go. And there we go. So we have our custom built roundabout intersection type thing in, and we should probably really lower the speed limit of it coming onto the roundabout. So I might do some of that in the detailing, maybe put in some little road markings to tell people to slow down and that sort of thing. We'll see, but that should work pretty smoothly. I think it's going to keep people at least flowing around the highway, apart from where people want to sort of come in and out and turn right. But hopefully, because this is only going to be a small suburb, it shouldn't be too much of an influx of traffic that is going to impact it in a negative way. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So yeah, let's talk about the little town centre design now. So firstly, I do want to hook this road actually into this one over here. So let's bring out an intersection there, and then we can do a nice smooth curve to connect those up like that. And this is going to flow right down into the suburban centre. Now, because this is a small outer suburb, I'm thinking there's not going to be too much commercial out here. We do have the big Morrissey's and a commercial outlet just over this side, so it's not too far away. But I would like to give them things like a small grocery store, a post office, maybe actually a British pub. Maybe we can try and incorporate that in if it looks right with the theming, and a couple of other smaller convenience shops. But apart from that, there's really not going to be too much down here. Oh, I'm definitely thinking we're going to have a restaurant or some kind of cafe or something down by the lakefront, because I think that would be lovely. So with this road, we do need to continue bringing this one on down, and I think that this is going to meet the front of the station here. So let's actually draw that in. Let's have a road here. Now we do have a pillar in the middle of the road. We've got Anarchy on, so we're going to have to fix that in just a second, which of course we will do. But let's bring this road down to there, and then we'll connect those up again with a nice smooth curve. and this one can pass underneath the bridge. So let's raise this back up. Let's continue this on a tiny bit further to there. And then we'll bring this back down to ground level. Around about there, I think that's a reasonable slope. So yeah, let's deal with this pillar. We definitely want to remove that. So if we go to sub-elements, we can remove those. And we've got the pillar there, so I don't think it's too much of a trouble. We might want to actually just shift this node over a little tiny bit, just so it's on the edge of the road is what I was thinking here. But now I've kind of, let's undo that. We must have another node. Yeah, we do have another node here now because of where I put in the road. So let's move this one to start off with. And then we're going to shift this one over just a tiny bit to the side of the road, so the pillar's nicely on the side of the road. And then actually, second thoughts, let's get rid of this one here so that we haven't got that kind of double pillar extension. And then it does look like this isn't straight anymore, so let's just drop that down a tiny bit. And of course the pillars come back. So we'll remove that again. But that gives us a nice solid bridge over that railway road and the railway track here. Now that doesn't look perfect either. So in the pursuit of perfection, I am going to redo that connection. So this road could probably just hook up actually into this main road coming down from the intersection here. So let's do that like that. And then, how do we want things positioned? We're going to want an elementary school in here as well, which is quite a large building which requires flat space, but that could potentially go up the hill slightly up here. We have also got this hillside road to bring in, so I'm thinking that'll probably continue along the contour lines, maybe come down a tiny bit and meet up with this road at some point. And then the other consideration for coming into here is, of course, our coastal road. So I think before we do anything else, let's bring that in so that we can connect that in. And then we can have a go at designing out our town centre. So this kind of ends by pointing into the cliff here. So I think we need to redo this bit and reposition that bridge so it's at a slightly nicer angle. So we're going to grab our truss bridge again and place this in. So I want it to snap 180 and try and get it nicely over this little inlet of water that we have there. Something like that, although we are sloping a little bit. So let's just try and get it a bit flatter than 3 degrees or 4 degrees down. Minus 0.3 will do nicely like that. So let's just have a little look how that sits. It's not too bad. I know it's a slightly random place to have a truss bridge, but I think it will work reasonably nicely at least. And then let's go back down to ground level. We'll go back to our normal road, make sure constant slope is on, and I think we will fix it into the ground here, and then we can come through and upgrade it as we go through. And we definitely don't want to do that. So I want to go back to freeform roads for this so we can curve it as nicely as we possibly can around the edge of the hillside here. And I'm very conscious about this level, so we want to keep it as flat as we possibly can. Kind of conscious I don't want to go too curvy with it either. So we want to find some nice smooth spots to trace this along the edge. So let's just keep going with this and see how well we can get it around this cliff. Now here we actually have the perfect opportunity to come down this slope and join it up into this road here. So I think that's what we'll do. Let's go back to a straight road for a second and bring that out a tiny bit further. That is going up a slope there, but that's okay. And then we're going to join this into an intersection. We can get this one straight round about this point. And then this can also trail off in this direction. So let's leave a little road like that for the moment. We do also need to bring this road round and probably join it up somewhere up here. But that should give us quite a nice little scenic route to come over the hillside, get a view of the lake here, and then on round this way. Now I think we'll probably put in some fencing, maybe change it to a retaining wall side here. So we've got a little bit of safety fencing as we come around this bend and get the lake reveal. I would like to put in some kind of campgrounds or holiday park or something, I think, over here, because this is quite a nice little nestled away area with views up to the Oregon Point Tower there, views over the lake. You can kind of actually see through to Hoskins Castle, and also onto Few Haven back there as well. Is that the Paul Raymond High School there, I think, as well? Quite a marvellous view. And that's why it is important for us to keep this little town and this little suburb pretty low-key, I think, as well. Now, let's go back to the rest of the road network. So we definitely want to hook this in. Let's keep this nice and flat for the town centre bit, and then we can have a slope up to the road here. Like that. And then we want to make use of this flat space for the town centre. I'm actually thinking let's make it a little bit more interesting and a bit more jaggedy by bringing this in. And then we've got this triangle space to play with there that we could potentially do something nice with. And I'm thinking as well we'd probably bring a local road down the side of the lake quite close along this side, which could maybe lead up to this holiday park at this end. The slope might be a bit steep for that, so maybe we have to trail it across from this road around the side of the mountain. But we'll come on to that when we start to build out that area next time. So in terms of the little village centre, and I'm going to call it a village centre, not a town centre, because it really is low-key in that sense. I kind of want to hide the railway track away from the main village centre, so I'm thinking we'll have a small amount of commercial along this strip here. We definitely want to get in a post office, as I mentioned, so I'm thinking probably the small post office, but we do now have the Eastern European post office to play with as well. There's the modernist one, far too big for this area, and there's the Japanese one, which is kind of cute. I think we're going to go for the Japanese one, and let's place that in right up against this corner here. We probably want to get the other major services in, like healthcare and that sort of thing, and then a few select shops like I mentioned. So that gives us a basis of commercial and the main services to work with around the village centre. So I have actually added in the new Eastern European pub and bistro here. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because that would just be embarrassing, but I absolutely love this little piggy sign. It's amazing. And it's perfect for this because we get our little terraces and our tables right out on the front of the lakefront here. So we can put some nice detailing here, probably get rid of some of those bushes. Maybe try and extend some of the table parts out towards the lake a little bit with some extra props in there, something like that. We of course have a little village centre car park, and this is next to what I'm going to call our grocery store. Even though it's a restaurant at present, we may change some of that signage so it gives us the vibe that we want there. And then we have a few other just small local shops which again need a little bit of detailing on. Plus, the Japanese post office is what I decided to go for. I felt like it had the right vibe for here. And then the Eastern European firehouse is amazing. I feel like this is absolutely the centre focal point of this very small kind of suburban village centre here, with a couple more Eastern European commercial buildings here, which are just awesome. So this archway, we're going to delete that lamppost out for starters. And we're going to make something of that. We're going to make a big kind of courtyard alleyway area behind there. And of course, a little small plaza for the village centre around here with the grocery store and these couple of buildings. And of course, the firehouse as the main centre focal point. And then I decided to put in the small elementary school. I thought it was most appropriate for here up at the top of the hill with the UK police station actually and the small medical clinic. So we're really mixing in all of those different styles, and hopefully that kind of eclectic nature of it will come across. I'm kind of thinking maybe this was some sort of very small development or settlement that was here a long time ago, and it's gradually been expanded and modernised as time goes on. Now the other thing I do want to do is with this train station, I noticed we've obviously got these stairs coming off the platform at the back here. So what I'd really like to do is where we've got the slope here, I don't think it's appropriate to open it up onto just pure parkland. So let's actually flatten off this landscape. And we'll fix that again in just a second. And we're going to add an alleyway road at the back here, which is going to run alongside connecting in those paths so that people have a way to exit the station on this side. And now we can go back in and we can just smooth out this banking again. But then we want to also obviously connect this alleyway up either side. So we're going to bring it underneath the road here like that, and then just curve it up into this main road like so. And then similarly this side, I think we're just going to simply curve this round to hit the main road here. So we've got a lot of junctions, but I like that. I kind of want a fairly off-griddy sort of centre to this, so we're going to have a lot of different angles to it. In particular, this side of the station, I'd quite like some way for them to cut through onto this alleyway road to get down into the main town centre here and towards the lake. I'm thinking the main draw of this area absolutely has to be lakeside walks. So again, I'm going to come on in a second and do some detailing around the bottom of the lake here to add in some gravel paths, maybe a couple of little viewpoints and that sort of thing to make it an appealing area for people to visit and spend a bit of relaxing downtime. And of course then we just need to get people in, so I don't want to flood this really with any more commercial than we absolutely have to. So that is what we will do in the detailing in just a second, is build out this main town centre area, and then next time we're going to come on to how we transition that into the likes of Gaudy Bay, and also potentially look at this like holiday camp, maybe a big fancy hotel actually sitting up there would be pretty nice. And there's a few other things that I'm going to want to do around this area as well. But before we do that, I do want to address one thing with Hoskins Castle. So we're still not getting any visitors up here at all, and I had a little look at the parks and they have zero attractiveness, and that's because of a lack of maintenance. So we need to fix that. We need to finally put in a park maintenance building. So we're going to do that now. And I think I'm going to put it next to this little development on the edge of Gaudy Bay. So it's not too far away from the likes of Hoskins Castle and some of the other parks we've got around here. Well, Octagon Park being the main one there. So I'm going to set it back a little bit from the main road. We'll leave a little bit of a tree border in between that development and this one. I think I'm going to try and line it up towards the highway actually, so it's a slightly different angle to this and also a slightly different angle to the road, which just gives us a bit more of a natural variation, I think, when everything isn't super perfectly lined up, particularly for this end of the city where Gaudy Bay is a little bit more European in style than North American, I suppose. So yeah, let's place that in there, and then we're going to come through and detail it up in just a second. So we do want a connection for this. And I've used completely the wrong road that I was not intending on using. Let's upgrade that to an alleyway like that. So that is all now connected in. And in terms of upgrades, we have supply storage, increase the availability of supplies and our maintenance vehicles to work for longer. Not very big upkeep, so we probably could do that. And then we also have increased space to house more vehicles. At the moment, I don't really know if we need that with the space we've got, so we're going to wait a little bit, I think, for that before adding that in. But there's scope to add that in a few different places, like here would be pretty... In fact, you know what? I'm going to put it in, because that's quite a nice little location for it, and then we can make a bit out of this complex as we come to detail it up. So I think with that, we're then going to finish this off by building out around our town centre area, detailing that around the lake, like I mentioned, the park maintenance depot, and finishing off some of these road networks. So there we have the start of our new town, and we're going to be calling it Atkinson after my patron David Atkinson. Thank you so much for your support. The brand new town of Atkinson is shaping up nicely. We've got a lot to do around here, so we'll definitely be spending the next few episodes here before we start moving on towards the eventual downtown. So excited for that. And Nicole Sheridan did get picked up, for anyone wondering. She has been rescued. So the intersection's working pretty nicely. There's not too much traffic at the moment. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on it as the residents and the businesses pour into the area. But for now, it's doing pretty well. Nice to see the road maintenance cars doing their job there, causing traffic. And then we come on down into the town centre. Now, it's quite an eclectic mix of different styles of buildings. So we've got quite a few UK buildings in here. We've got quite a few of the Eastern European buildings. We've obviously got the Eastern European station. I absolutely adore this. I think we kind of needed a very low-key station, and it's absolutely provided that. I put in some generic little industry warehouses down the back in the back alley down here, which I thought was a nice little touch, along with some more parking. The one thing is people can't walk over the railway at the moment, so I'm thinking probably a pedestrian bridge maybe down that end would be needed here, so we can come back and add that in the next episode. I've also made quite extensive use of El Glendo's dirt roads in this episode and Crypto's walkways and path networks, which are amazing. They're just net lanes that you can kind of place over whatever you want. So like this railway track looks so much better like this than the vanilla one. I am probably going to cover all of our railway track, to be honest, in some form of cover because it just looks a million times better. So we've got the end of our little railway station here with some signal boxes. We've done a lot of little corner detailing in here. We've made use of this little backspace to add some car parking. I've sorted out a lot of the surfaces around the front of these buildings to make it feel more cohesive. We've got some more parking there. We've also got this street where there's parking along it. Now, I couldn't actually fit proper spaces in here, so we've just got some prop cars on the slopey surface, which kind of works. It kind of works. But yeah, huge mix of different assets in here, but I think the crowning feature really is this little town centre area where we got the firehouse. And then this big plaza here where, it's nice to see people using the invisible pathways. But then we have this old school courtyard, which I've mentioned, and I've turned it into a proper courtyard now, which I'm kind of thinking is like an arts and crafts style courtyards. These are quite prevalent across places in the UK. We've got a little area for some parking, maybe for staff for various different businesses around here. Got a little cafe in the corner, so I'm thinking you have to go up that steps to order your scones and your drinks, and then you come down into the courtyard over here. I really want some sitting prop sims actually, just to fill this out and make it feel more busy. We do also have pedestrian path networks, invisible ones, flowing across here, and there have been a few people using them, which is quite nice. But a nice little peaceful courtyard area to frame off the town centre. So I'm pretty pleased with how that's come out, alongside our grocery store, obviously, over here. And of course, what I said was the Eastern European pub. It's definitely not. It's the Welsh one from McWelshman from the UK pack. Love this. And we did just extend out the little dining area at the back here to make that more lakefront friendly, which I quite enjoy. And then added another little food cafe. Actually, this came up with the art gallery signs. Yeah, they've still got them. So I'm kind of thinking this is an art gallery and coffee shop in a very tiny, small building. Maybe they've got a basement, I'm not sure. There's a limited amount of art available. Or it could be one of those coffee shops where you've just got art on the wall and you can go in and have a look and choose something to buy. That sort of thing. So those were kind of the main features. The triangle I just turned into an open green space, again using some networks to cover up the pathway there. I really ought to change that to an invisible pathway so it looks a little bit neater. We've got some of the concrete poking out there, which I will definitely fix. We've got a little playground on this corner, for example. And then we come on to the lake side. So we've made good use of El Glendo's dirt road, net lanes, networks. Amazing, amazing. We just covered up a gravel road and an alleyway with these, and it just looks so much more realistic. We've also covered up a dirt path as we come around here as well. So you've got an entire walk around this whole lake. So we've got little benches along the way. Come along the path here through the trees. Oh, is that almost tree on the path there? And then you have to come back onto the dirt lane and then back onto the path as you come right down to the lakefront here. Then it goes on to this little viewing platform that we have at the end here. So I just put some benches down as the base of it and some fencing around it. I was going to put a gazebo on it, but actually I think this is a better look. So you can just look out over the town of Atkinson into the valley over there, which I think is very nice and relaxing and peaceful. I have also joined it up to the road up here, so once we put something on top of the hill, Again, let me know, would you like to see a big country house hotel, or would you like to see some form of holiday park campsite up here? That's the two things I'm thinking, but let me know in the comments below what you think we should put. So I'm hoping, yeah, once that's built in, people will actually come down and use these pathways as a means to get back through to the town of Atkinson. I did also put a little hotel up here as well, because I thought, well, that is a really quite marvellous view over the lake as well. A little bit Lake District style, I suppose, if you know the UK at all. We then have a gazebo down here with a little bench in it as well. I did think about putting in a water sports area maybe over here, so we might come back and do that. It's just that the prop availability for that is fairly limited at present, so I kind of wasn't sure exactly how to go about doing that. But watch this space, we may come back and add that. There we go, that's the start of the town of Atkinson, and also not to forget as well our little park maintenance depot over here that we did. Again, making use of these networks, amazing. This is the walkways and paths one from Crypto, so good. Just so easy to cover up areas with these now. So not too much around here, just extended out the park maintenance depot so it sits really nicely on this awkward corner. Now a couple of other quick mentions before we close off for today. So Kirsty Lexi suggested that we actually call this Havenwood Village, and then it could be Havenwood and Havenwood Lumber, so we have gone ahead and done that. I absolutely love that suggestion. And Simbi also suggested as well that this factory could be making pellets for pellet heating boilers. I love that. So that is what we're going with in the lore. This is our pellet heating boiler factory. So yeah, there we go. We have the start of the town of Atkinson. Really excited to develop on this. And all of these services that we've added have impacted our budget a bit, of course. So we have dropped 10,000 an hour. So it was on 32 to start the episode off with. But we have gained 2,000 citizens within that as well. So that is where we are currently at. Also, this primary school is only half full, so it's not too bad at the moment. I think we probably will need to extend that, so that's something that we'll come on to over the course of the next couple of episodes as we build out this area. But for today, I think that is going to be it. If you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. Don't forget to check out Instant Gaming link in the description below for cheap discounts on a whole host of games, which also helps support the channel. But that is all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!